Forget all the rumors. Forget the secret insider reports of the past few months. And above all, forget any hope. The legendary V8 in the Mercedes-AMG C63 is not coming back. It is now official. AMG's top management has rendered its final verdict, closing the chapter on the V8 in the C-Class forever. But that is nowhere near the actual scandal here. The true reason why Mercedes is no longer installing this engine has absolutely nothing to do with emissions regulations or the future of electric mobility. The truth is far more embarrassing for Affalterbach. It's a story of fatal planning, pure corporate arrogance, and a desperation Plan B that is leaving the most loyal AMG customers utterly stunned. Stay tuned until the end, because today we expose how Mercedes maneuvered the current C63 into the biggest financial and technical dead end in corporate history, why owners of the current model are burning tens of thousands of dollars, and why the promised consolation prize only makes the situation worse. Let's take a quick look back. When Mercedes unveiled the new W206 model series, the outcry across the entire car scene was monumental. The legendary 4-liter biturbo V8, the beating heart, the brutal sound, the absolute status symbol of a whole generation of AMG drivers, was just coldly thrown away. Instead, they presented us with the M139L, a 2-liter 4-cylinder, combined with an extremely complex hybrid system, a heavy battery on the rear axle, and so-called Formula One turbocharger technology. On paper, it sounded like a triumph of engineering. 680 horsepower and over 1,000 newton-meters of torque. A total monster on the datasheet. But the reality on the road was a brutal slap in the face. The car suddenly weighed 2,165 kilograms. That's almost 4,800 pounds. Let that number sink in. A compact sports sedan that weighs more than a massive GLC SUV. And what happens when you actually drive this car the way an AMG is supposed to be driven? After a few laps on the racetrack or intense driving on a back canyon road, the small battery is empty. And exactly in that moment, the entire illusion collapses. Suddenly, you don't have 680 horsepower anymore. You're sitting in a 2.1-ton Colossus, being dragged by a desperate 4-cylinder, fighting against the dead weight of the empty batteries. And the sound? A synthetic fake drone pumped through the cabin speakers that touches nobody. No goosebump moment on a cold start. No rumble that wakes the neighborhood. Nothing. Customer reaction was swift and merciless. Sales figures collapsed completely. The new C6 3S are sitting on Mercedes dealership lots like bricks. Nobody, absolutely nobody, wanted to pay over $120,000 for a 4-cylinder hybrid that is emotionally as exciting as a microwave. Fans wanted their V8 back. And the rumor mill started spinning. For months, reputable automotive magazines were reporting Mercedes is backpedaling. Insiders spoke of the V8 being prepared for the major facelift, that engineers in Affalterbach were secretly working overtime to plant the 8-cylinder back under the hood. The hope within the community was massive. Everyone thought they finally understand. But now the bombshell drops. The highest product boss of Mercedes-AMG stood before the press and made it unmistakably clear. A V8 in the current C63 is definitely ruled out. There will be none. Not today, not with the facelift, not ever again in this generation. Why? The official press excuse is, the installation is technically impossible without completely redesigning the entire car. And exactly here, my friends, is where the fatal engineering flaw begins. Why does the V8 really not fit? Is it emission norms? No. When Mercedes developed the new platform for the W206 series, management made a radical, purely financial decision to save billions in development costs. The entire front section was designed exclusively for 4-cylinder engines. The engine bay was drastically shortened. The suspension geometry, weight distribution, steering, crash structures, and cooling systems, everything was millimeter perfectly built around a tiny four-cylinder block. They wanted to maximize profit margins. When Mercedes now realized that the four-cylinder was being completely rejected by the market, their engineers hit an insurmountable wall. To retrofit the V8, now the entire body and front section would have to be physically lengthened. That means crash tests for Europe and strict regulations in the US would have to be redone from scratch. The cost? A 9-figure sum that would immediately blow AMG's entire budget. Mercedes essentially handcuffed themselves out of pure profit greed. The managers seriously believed they could sell customers an emotionless four-cylinder for top dollar, as long as the prestigious AMG badge was glued onto the trunk. And exactly this arrogant miscalculation is now backfiring bitterly. But this fatal decision hasn't just hit Mercedes, it's actively ruining the customers who bought the W206 blindly. Let's talk about brutal depreciation. If you buy a W206 C63 today and drive it off the lot, you immediately burn tens of thousands of dollars. Dealerships are currently having to give massive discounts just to get the cars off their lots at all. It is an unprecedented collapse in value for an AMG flagship model. And what is happening simultaneously on the used market for the old W205 C63 with the real 4.0-liter V8? Prices are exploding. Well-maintained models are being traded like gold. People know a car like this will never be built again. The old C63 is currently mutating from a used car into a true investment object. Anyone who kept their V8 back then is making the deal of a lifetime today. So what is the escape plan for Mercedes? How do they want to stop their wealthiest customers from completely defecting to the competition? After all, BMW is keeping the beloved straight-six engine in the M3. Here comes Mercedes' desperate emergency plan B. Insiders confirm that AMG is in total panic preparing a new variant, a C53, equipped with the 3.0-liter Inline-Six engine that we already know from the CLE53. Do you understand the absolute irony in this story? By introducing this Inline-Six, Mercedes is officially admitting that the four-cylinder in the flagship model has failed miserably. But instead of giving the fans what they really want, the real V8, they are bringing a straight-six as a consolation prize in a lower-tier model. Don't get me wrong, the 3-liter Inline-Six from Mercedes is an excellent silk-smooth engine. But a C-Class AMG without a V8 is simply a compromise, an admission of weakness, a Band-Aid on a massive open wound. What does all this mean for us car lovers? First, the BMW M3 now dominates this premium compact segment entirely without competition. BMW understood that emotions sell cars. And second, if you still have the dream of owning a real roaring C63 V8, don't wait any longer. Grab the predecessor generation. The V8 in the C-Class is today officially dead. A monument of German engineering has been finally buried, not by political laws, but by short-sighted corporate decisions and cost-cutting measures. Now, I want to hear your honest opinion. Let's discuss this in the comments below. Will you give the new straight-six replacement a chance? Or is the chapter of Mercedes-AMG dead for you? Write it down below. I will be reading your thoughts tonight. If you want the unvarnished truth about the automotive industry and engineering deep dives, you're in the right place. Hit the like button, subscribe to Piston Truth, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.